versus the Afreeca Freecs, the rematch of the round robin that previously went in EDG's way. Are we going to see Afreeca get revenge?
Look, they want it. 100% they want it. They feel like the early game was theirs handily. The goal lead was in their favor, and then things were slipping up when EDG were looking for the team fight. So Afreeca must have been doing their homework to get the team fights in favor of them.
Yeah, and the main theme about the LCK coming in here is about vengeance, because they were swept 3-1 in terms of the group stages, so they want to have a good showing here. The other thing is about the side selection. We're seeing 6 teams in a row select for the red side.
And of course, we do have to do a quick thank you to our sponsors. We've got Mercedes-Benz, Logitech, SPD Bank, and ROG. Thank you so much for making this amazing event possible. Because like we said, we got revenge grudge matches of the World Semifinals. We've got the MSI final rematch. Now we've got earlier in the tournament rematch coming back again. But let's talk about how this matchup is actually going to shake out. Because last time when we saw these teams play, it was decided in the mid lane. Scout versus Kuro.
Yeah, Scout took him early. That was the thing about Scout, because coming to this tournament, we talked about his solo kills.
Oh, yeah.
#1 in the LPL, and he made it happen again going up against Kuro, who everyone deemed as the best mid laner coming into this one from the LCK. But remember, Kuro's laning phase, he was never known for that. He was known for his team fights, 30% plus in terms of his damage percentage throughout all of his LCK games. But the issue is he was never able to really get to that point, and he was stopped early by Scout.
Yeah, I really do see Kuro as more of a tech player. He picks champions that counter the enemy composition, and he doesn't really play for lane as much as we do see from Scout's side. And that's also why I think EDG should be the stronger team here. I think they have the better 2 carries in the bottom side of the map.
But something EDG does have to worry about, even though Scout got the early kill and he was able to snowball it, the mid portion of that problem was the fact that Kuro was able to follow up with the Taliyah.
Yeah.
The Taliyah walls were incredible, that he was able to make use of it and follow Scout down to the bottom side of the map, where Afreeca was able to retain their advantage, get it back in their favor. So it comes down to, yes, EDG have phenomenal laners in Scout, and they can look towards iBoy as well, but the skirmishes, Spirit will follow you.
Yeah.
Kuro will follow you. They need to have the proper wards down there so they can catch that happening.
And this is where I get to the where we get to talk about the side selection here, because it is Game 3. It's LPL with that side choice, which means EDG. They chose red side in this, so perhaps they're already respecting that they do want that counter pick for Scout in the mid lane.
Yeah, counter pick for Scout because he can go towards the Swain. He does have a larger pool than he's letting on, but also they can go for Ray as well. This is the big point that people will sleep on, because EDG as a team don't play towards the top side of the map. They can say that, hey, you know what? We have a Kennen to the top side. The last time we saw Ray in the LPL, last set that he had, he lit Rogue Warriors up on the Kennen. So they have a lot of people that would love to have priority, the counter pick. And so I want to see what their focus is here.
Yeah. And that's a big worry for me if I'm EDG, because we asked a lot of the players here who was the best top laner in their eyes. It was not Smeb. It was not Khan. Everyone said it was Keen. He was a representative at Asia Cups, and he had a massive performance on the Darius so far. So that's going to be the very dangerous thing coming into this. Can Ray actually hold up? Can he still stay relevant when he's being sacrificed by the team?
And it really was a Darius highlight package, because even though the stopwatches came through, Guardian Angel was another thing, he was still keeping cool in a lot of these situations. And so the respect that he's getting from the players, from the LMS and the LPL, granted, this man is super good coming in the top side of the map.
Yeah, absolutely stellar performance. Of course, that means that when we look to the connective tissue for those 2 lanes, we have to turn our attention to, as you just look at that massive KDA in the bottom lane, the connective tissue for that. For EDG, it's coming out of Haro in the jungle. Now, again, we still sort of question his youth with the team, but he seems to fit so much better with the meta for EDG.
Yeah, even though a lot of his problems, as you mentioned, that consistency as well, he would have incredible carry picks. That's why they're putting him in here, that he can play towards the Taliyah. So even though we've only really seen the Trundle, which is a clear love pick as well, it's the flexibility in the draft, and it's really making it worthwhile because he's starting to follow through in the shot calls from Mako. So the problems that they've had from him really early on in the split is being covered, and now the benefits are the only things you see so far.
And I really see Haro and Scout being the early game engines for EDG. This is why they're playing him, because like you said, he has the Camille pick, he has the Taliyah pick, and EDG are actually playing very slow in the bot lane in terms of their marksmen. Haro plus Scout, if they run the early game, EDG will have this.
Yeah, they very well could. That said, this could be close to a must-win for the LPL. It's now time for our casters to get us into this Game 3 rematch between EDG and Afreeca Freecs.
在主场其实夺冠感觉是就是会非常爽的一件事情嘛，然后肯定是叫大家一起加油，然后4个队努力去为 LPL 夺冠嘛。
Thank you very much, Mako, and thank you, Dom, as well. As yes, it is the rematch, EDG versus Afreeca Freecs, and I could imagine Afreeca Freecs probably want themselves a bit of a rematch because that went horribly wrong last time.
Vengeance is certainly a word for them, and the draft to me was one of the poorest ones I've seen from Afreeca in a long time. They'll be on blue side again. It was the Taliyah first pick, but they seem to be locked in on it being mid lane very early. They ended up getting counterpicked in multiple lanes. It was a far cry from the Afreeca we saw 2 days ago. Remember, we did not see Afreeca yesterday, so theoretically it's an extra day to map out their plan of attack. And the Vengeance target means they've already got some data to play with.
And what's so funny is it's so random to see Afreeca just fumble a draft like that. Normally you'd say that of Edward Gaming. They have been a team that has consistently had drafting problems since their inauguration in 2014 and very meta inflexible. Now a lot of that was in part of Clear Love, and so if you haven't seen this EDG recently, they now have Haro starting in both sets for Rift Rivals, and now their primary starting jungler. Now the thing about Haro is he does offer some flexibility because he will play things like the Taliyah, like the Trundle, like the Gragas from the jungle, whereas Clearlive seems a bit more inflexible, only going as far back as the Rek'Sai, even on this type of meta.
Some Rek'Sai buffs come out, he'll be back, I'm sure.
Oh, damn right. He could even be support, like we were talking about before.
Think
but
of
also,
scouting.
yeah, we want to talk about sort of the other side of the rift as well. Afreeca, they moved in Kramer instead of aiming for their second match and looked like a very different team. None of those drafting issues, but also Kramer playing like, you know, the stock standard, very experienced rock on the bottom side of the map like he always does. Beautiful to see from him, and still not entirely sure what Afreeca is going to be fielding as we move into the lineups.
And for me, this is the matchup. We theorized then that it's going to be Kingzone, Rogue Warriors. Obviously, these are the last team, so if it goes to 4 games, which we're right now going to look at it, that you would suspect that it would go to Kingzone because they are the higher seed. So if LPL win here, then it's RNG into game number 5. If LCK win here, then this game or this series probably ends at 4 games.
But let's play with that logic a bit. If it is an Edward Gaming victory, Kingzone have to be there in the clutch. And we already know that if there's one place they've struggled, it's internationally in the clutch.
Exactly. It really is not a place the Kingzone want to be. They're going to be sweating, hoping that the Afreeca Freecs can take this, because they lose in the next time, we just get extra games. We get exactly the LPL LCK matchup that we were looking for. In my opinion, I think KT versus RNG, but based on how this team performs right now, Afreeca Freecs RNG could certainly be the option. And is it going to be EDG? Is that who we want to be throwing against the LCK in that final match? So many questions.
So interesting. I think if Afreeca smash in this game and then we see Rogue Warriors win, there will be certainly an argument for Afreeca to play. Look at the lineup here. It's back to aiming in the bot lane role. He's seen as the stronger laning player. He actually played against EDG, so it'll be very interesting to see them track, as of course is still Haro for the side of EDG.
And the 2 members that you want to look at is Haro and Ray, the newest members of Edward Gaming. If you want to find cracks to tear this team apart, just like what the analyst desk is saying, you focus on those 2. They don't quite have the same synergy. Mako, captain, shot caller for the team. If he's stuck down in the bottom lane, he can't micromanage those very young, inexperienced players, and you can catch them out and force mistakes.
And let's just hope that we're going to see an Afreeca Freecs that's happy to go 2v2. I actually just want to see them straight up try and take on EDG, because EDG played their style against the funnel, didn't even really matter. The funnel was a weird one anyway, and then they just rolled over the game very standard. We know that Afreeca incredible when it comes to standard League of Legends, even if the champions in the roles are very different.
It just feels like they got a double introduction. They knew what to expect from EDG from general scouting. Now they've seen them up close. Don't get overcomplicated with the Taliyah. I think make some small adjustments in the pick ban. Get yourself a winning lane, probably in top lane. That'd be the dream, but I imagine Keen is going to be kept on a short leash. And find Kuro a better matchup than blind pick Taliyah.
I mean, the interesting stylistic matchup here is that I would still weight this towards Afreeca. I was aligned with you, Papa, as opposed to Clement, because I feel like Afreeca are just the more versatile team. They have more in their arsenal in terms of what type of strategy they want to grab. Edward Gaming, it doesn't matter who you slot into this roster. faster if it's ClearLove, if it's Haro, if it's Mouse, if it's
Now
Kuro,
they can play
if it's
aggressive
Ray.
junglers.
But it's just about the bottom lane. It always has been. Look for 8 to 10 minutes. Edward Gaming will always look to unlock their mid laner, look for the dive bottom, and then snowball into mid-game tempo where they want to clean out the game. If you can stall them out, if you can stall out that initial dive, they will fall apart.
Well, this draft is going to be incredibly important already. EDG targeting aiming with the Vladimir ban and Sejuani to be taken away from Spirit. Aatrox and the Camille both banned Afreeca Freecs. 3 for 3 on the Aatrox bans.
Let's see if they roll back their bans, because Camille, Aatrox, Kennen were their bans in their first game around. They'll ban the Talia. This means they'll first pick the Zoe, but they left open if it's left available.
Well, Nocturne also available as well. Spirit could head to that. We've got Galio. We've got so many monster picks still available because EDG threw the whole playbook out the window.
And I think the option is that you leave it all open or you ban the Zoe here. Now in the LPL, they do like to try to grab the Ryze into the Zoe matchup because they feel like when she bounces, you can grab her and then try to burst her. But then you need to prioritize a heavy ganking jungler in.
There is the LeBlanc as well that can be considered if you want a slam lane, or the Galio to rotate if you want to go for a rotational play. So those are ones considered. Even Irelia could be taken.
Oh god, the insta-log, yes, that's what I'm talking about. See whether it's going to be Scout, but I have a feeling it will be, as Haro. What is this? The Gragas is a beautiful option. Can go into the hands of Mako as well. Could go to Ray as a bit of a shout out to Keen, but good god, that ganking combo is disgusting.
And I do want to hold off and say that it's not quite Haro's Gragas. The best Gragas player that we have in the LPL is actually Mako taking the support Gragas. So obviously, still flexibility there to grab the Lee Sin and have that classic Yasuo Lee Sin combo.
Speaking of
classics, yeah.
There's so many classical things available. We're having a classical
good god,
concert over here.
Zyra could be locked in right here for the Afreeca Freecs.
Beethoven, eat your heart out. Here we go. Zyra Khan. And suddenly, Flexerino is happening here, as it could definitely be a funnel once again by the Afreeca Freecs.
And remember, Aiming loves playing the casters as well. The mages on the bottom side. This could be a bot lane Zoe, potentially. We could still be funneling.
That's the crazy thing. You would say, but there's a Zoe, but people have been talking about the fact that Zoe can make her way around the map as well.
Go into that bottom lane.
Exactly. So much can still be left open. Meanwhile, seems like we're going to be loading gold on a Yasuo, and everyone else got a knock-up, baby. This is the solo queue game where Yasuo says, I'm smurfing, and everyone else says, all right, Malphite somewhere, it's fine.
Yeah, exactly. We'll see whether Ray's going to pick that one up.
And here's the thing, though. Edward Gaming, the last time they beat Afreeca, that was the best that Edward Gaming have ever played, and it was the back half on the back of Scout, playing the best that he has ever played. So building around him, finding that momentum, finding that confidence, I have a bet that it's going to be his Yasuo, not iBoys, not Ray's, and that everything is going to go into their mid laner who has stepped up and said, I will lead the team alongside Mako now that ClearLove's gone.
If you're in a first round Alistar against Flex Zyra Khan, I think definitely you're doing it for the knock-up potential. I wonder if you consider banning a Morgana, and just they might just chuck a Morgana somewhere and try to really bring up the reliability of the Yasuo plays.
Well, I feel like Morgana would be beautiful on the Afreeca Freecs comp, so you're doing double duty if you pick it up from EDG, but the Mundo is going to be taken away here by the Afreeca Freecs. Looking at that final spot, of course, Shen available. So much available right now. I was thinking about it while you were talking. Some of them have slipped out of my mind as iBoy making some considerations on the Vayne, but I have a feeling that he's just thinking as the Kaiser to be locked in from EDG.
And the Shen seems almost a certainty because Shen X is what you do if you're funneling, but we're not clear 100%.
This is the Afreeca Freecs' favorite funnel combo if they do pick up the Shen.
But there is reasons that you might consider to move away from funnel. Take the fun out of funnel, if you will. We'll see what the decision is here on the side of Afreeca.
But Spirit's Rakan looked incredibly good when they played it in their funnel, as well as Tucson on the Shen, coming from behind turrets to grab first blood. The man is on the map exactly where he needs to be. And with the Shen lock-in, we will be confirming funnel here for the Afreeca Freecs.
Who's going top lane in that scenario then?
Oh, it's a GP to deny the GP counterpick to the funnel strategy. Once again, Afreeca drafting pretty nice.
Also a blind GP. There's a lot of things you can do here to try to dominate it.
And I also love Gangplank into Kaiser specifically.
This would be one of them. Riven
more
smashes
knockups.
GP.
And more knockups.
He recently played Kennen. It was a monster of a performance from Ray. I'd love to see him grab it again.
This one smashes GP. Good God. The Jarvan 4, the Prince of the top lane, going to be heading up against the Pirate. Good lord, it's like Pirates of the Caribbean when it's just really not going well for Jack Sparrow. You can't really catch him, but he's definitely not having a good time.
I mean, this is the classic Cannonball comp from the LPL. It goes all the way back, and it's not just about the Yasuo, it's also about the Kai'Sa.
And it's about the knockups.
All of that displacement ability to trigger 2 of your star champions on 2 of your star players. Edward Gaming are playing in the pocket.
It's a proposal comp from EDG. They commit instantly because everyone goes in. The Yasuo joins from off the screen. The Kai'Sa joins from off the screen. We're going hard, boys.
The proposal comp, or is it something else? Because everyone's going to be knocked up this game.
It's true.
We're moving real fast in this
Wedding
particular
crashers
relationship. Good God. It seems like both teams very clear on what they want to achieve this game. But I have a feeling IG certainly have one that's pretty understandable, right? Put someone in the sky, hope he's near his friends, and beat the hell out of them.
And that's the thing for me. Yes, Afreeca are so practiced on this composition, but time and time again, we've seen these funnel comps start to fall apart. The execution is much more complex, whereas EDG are just in easy mode. Just find your R button. It's located between E and T and smash it.
When we get into the game, I want to talk about how there's quite big differences between the Xayah Rakan funnel answer that we saw last game by RNG and what we saw in this game by EDG. So there's a little bit of hope there for Afreeca that the funnel, at least, the farm on the Xayah gets better. Well, let's just focus on the hype. We're 1-1. It's LPL versus LCK. We're going at least 4. Come on, let's just say it. It's probably going 5. There's so much hype here in Dalian. And a lot of it's decided here because I know everyone's already thinking about what 4th game looks like, depending on the victor of this one.
Again, this, for me, is the decider if we go to 4 or 5 games. This is do or die. The international chokers in Edward Gaming without ClearLove versus the international newbies in Afreeca. So close, tasting that stage and never quite reaching it. A lot of pressure on their shoulders now.
And then the next game is going to be the opposite side. The international chokers for the LCK. Kingzone coming in. With, of course, Rogue Warriors, the international newbies on the other side. But this time around, Afreeca Freecs versus EDG. You've got knock-up synergy, you've got hell strong lanes coming in versus the funnel from the Afreeca Freecs with the tools that they really like to use. We saw the Shen and Rakan supporting the Xayah work very, very well. But how is Keen going to survive against the Prince on the top side?
Look, EDG just poured petrol all over the Rift, and they have 5 matches ready to light it. So the fire's going to start thick and fast from level 6 on.
Well, I hope we definitely get 5 matches, Papa Smithy, as here we are, Summoner's Rift for our 3rd one of the day. You can hear EDG fans, of course, so many of them throughout the years. The domestic domination of this team in the past is something that we always talk about. But now, up against the team that has the highest slot in the LCK at the moment at this tournament, in the Afreeca Freecs. We'll see whether they can crush them like this draft looks like it could be capable of.
Edward Gaming are known as the Chinese killers in the LPL because in China, they're just this machine. They print championships, but they go internationally, they leave their home crowd, and suddenly things start to fall apart. And even 2017 Worlds in Wuhan wasn't enough to save them. So we talk about redemption for the LCK. It is massive redemption and pressure for Edward Gaming.
Significance of Wuhan being the hometown of ClearLove, who noticeably hasn't played yet at Rift Rivals, despite monopolizing that starting spot for the majority of LCK Summer. Getting back to the point I was trying to make about the funnel tech. Once again, Xayah Rakan funnel. We got this new lane of the Zoe Shen bot lane, and we've seen mages with Shen be quite reliable. The reason why I say that EDG is a bit different compared to RNG is Lissandra, ability to push and ability to contest at level 2. Insane. As we got some EDG fans apparently on these votes. Meanwhile, Yasuo takes a lot longer to push. His 1-item power spike is quite expensive and takes a long time to come online. They have a ganking jungler comparable to the Camille, but lower damage threshold. No press the attack. They electrocute fine. But it feels like it's a far gone. We know that Yasuo Gragas turns on at level 6. Meanwhile, we saw Camille and Lissandra turn on at level 2.
It's also a very different start and execution already out of this funnel comp. So you're talking about the different tech, and it's already being piloted very different. The fact that Afreeca had a delayed invade, looked to 3-buff, which is now forcing Haro to go for double red if he doesn't just want to lose everything on the map. But I believe, okay, no, he didn't lose both scuttles. It wasn't as bad as Score versus Raze, but Haro definitely put on the back foot in terms of tempo, not unleashed like She was in the previous game.
And that's why the prospect of a funnel against Afreeca Freecs is so scary. worry because in Korea they're known for their preparation. They don't have FLICKR. They don't have superstar names. They have players you've heard of before, but they don't have the one person to point out and say, this guy's the big carry. Keen evolving into that name, but no one is an international superstar just yet. But they're famous for playing more scrim blocks than any other team. They play their B team when they can't get other scrims. They play almost no solo queue. I hate them because I try to scout them in solo queue. Their last game played a month ago, and all right, we're taking it easy. But no, they're scrimming so much that they don't have time to play in solo rank. Their set-piece plays, their preparation is second to none. So if they're able to play their own game with this funnel, expect good results.
I love the word that you use, set-piece plays. The funnel comp actually reminds me very much of the old lane swap type of style that League of Legends used to have.
That's why everyone hates it.
Exactly. But it's about the idea that you must know the different steps and pieces and all of the different ways that it can unfold. And it feels like Afreeca are the most practiced. They know exactly what the playbook is and when they need to look for their option play and change things up.
Well, Mako not going to go to sleep just yet, but does get taunted. The cow taking about half of his health bar. Nothing really to worry about. Here at the top side, though, Keen having a great time picking the grasp just to have a little bit more control in the lane. Seems to have worked out. We'll see whether Ray is going to be able to pull this one back now that he's picked up that full wave under the turret and grabbed that experience.
We've had a pretty decent amount of GP. It's our first Resolve Tree GP from a Korean team. Understanding that, yep, eventually Jarvan's going to just have a free lane in terms of all-in potential. You can delay that while the funnel farms this. Kuro.
Yeah, Kuro is going to get ignited, but he's going to survive this one. Chugs down on some potions and will be okay.
Here comes Haro, though. We talk about best bot lanes in the LPL. This is the best kill bot lane in the LPL. Mako and iBoy are relentless, whereas Uzi and Ming are about creating gold gaps and experience gaps versus zoning. They do so by killing.
And no flash available from Kuro as well. There's a flash body slam. Explodes. iBoy gets the kill for first blood for the LPL.
And Kuro has his ward up, but has no time to ward in any sort of defensive spot. Kuro just hung it around the corner if he was too scared to face check the brush. Doesn't, and while his first thought was to walk back, the flash body slam did the rest of the work.
And the thing is the magnifying glass has to be put on aiming and Tucson down here, excuse me, Kuro and Tucson down here, because this is where Edward Gaming are going to attack time and time again. You look at the composition, it's all about the Yasuo, it's all about the Kai'Sa, but you look at Edward Gaming, it's always about the bottom lane.
Well, you saw Tucson was able to at least bully the Gragas away from that Krug camp. Did manage to take it down, but at least everyone going to be going back home. Kuro's going to be able to do some farming, got himself some boots and a book, and hopefully in that book are some guidelines about surviving after your flash is down against a Gragas.
And we should consider the new guidelines of 8.13, and we've seen a lot of funnel from the LCK. When they haven't played funnel, we've actually seen some pretty good results also. In fact, I believe their win rate without funnel comp's been very high. The reason why I make the overall point is, remember again, the guideline from 8.13 is, if you die early, it's less punishing. So you do get Kuro back on the Rift faster. So theoretically, how much does it matter that someone dies once in the early game while the funnel is still getting the actual farm lead? It's at the moment not massive, but it's been free farm for the Xayah. The question is, you would say on 8.13, less than before.
Which is why all the pressure is on Edward Gaming. They need to be proactive. They need to start creating that snowball. We talk about it all the time.
Scout's going for a big run.
Yep, Ray's just going to flash on top of him. Cataclysm already available. He's waiting for the flash, and he's not even going to use it. Cannon Barrage comes down. Ray's got no mana. Scout's got nothing he can do, charging up the Tornado. But who damn cares? Keen's just running around him.
Keen did not respect that all-in at all. Ray's flash wasn't for a knock-up, so there was no way to initiate a knock-up. His EQ was on cooldown, and Keen says, thank you very much, I'll keep my flash.
Yeah, thanks very much for yours.
And we talk about the different cracks between Ray and Haro and how they synergize with the rest of Edward Gaming. Some miscommunication possibly there, and really shouldn't be because both those guys are Korean.
Yeah.
Yeah, that wasn't great.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, the bottom side's doing well.
That's the awkward part of the VOD review. Like, skip it, yeah, we know.
Yep. Look, see, it's still 1-0. We're still doing great. Everything's good. Don't worry about it. Yeah, but Gangplank's farming extraordinarily well against Jarvan. That was the counter pick given over to Ray. So Keen been doing fantastically well in this matchup. Kuro, not so much here on the bottom side, but has a dash cannon for some extra mobility.
People who don't follow Keen's story, is a bit of a who's this guy kind of player because he's come from Everett Winners last year, a team that wasn't doing much winning. I know the name is ironic. This year came in as a carry-only player and played tanks in the spring season. We're like, okay, his tank player is a lot better than we would expect. He's back on the carries this season, and I think the season of playing the tanks gave him the sort of reliability. Atusa might be dead.
Yep, Hebapol, he's going to dash his way out, has himself the shield as well, as Guardian's going to help out. And now Kuro's trying to fight back, but EDG winning that one handily.
What I want to finish on Keen is, he has a lot of poise. This is a guy that doesn't get rushed. He won't randomly flash. He's much more experienced in terms of his play than the level of experience that he's
and
the
then
amount
his
of time
age
he's
would
played.
suggest
Exactly,
as well.
very young player, but his high school diploma while playing pro in spring season. This guy is a budding superstar, but already poised something you can give him.
I mean, to poker face Edward Gaming like that in the top lane, you're just eating up momentum and time and tempo. Again, they must be proactive, they must get this snowball going, because otherwise they're just going to fall behind the gold funnel composition and get blown out late game, especially across from a Gangplank and a Xayah.
Well, Spirit spots out Haro here in the river.
Bit awkward that Spirit's the same level as Haro as well, because Haro wasted that time earlier in the game.
Hanging out towards the bottom side. Did help out, and they managed to pick up that kill earlier on. Scout's having a very non-interactive time, having headed up top for a little bit, but unfortunately, based on what Ray was trying to do with Keen, couldn't actually get anything done. So just been trying to farm.
And it's EDG trying to salvage how the draft started. Compared to the previous draft where they first picked Talia, and that ended up being something that was hurt by the Zoe availability on the side of EDG, they first picked a power pick here, did Afreeca in the Zoe, and the instant answer was like, all right, Yasuo can lane against it, Gragas can enable it, but Zyra Khan was still available, and that was the pivot that has really stopped Scout from dictating to a funnel. It's just not something that a Yasuo mid can do.
And it's already so much better, 119 to 88, whereas SKT were pretty much just even in their previous game against RNG, and a lot of that is because of what Tucson and Kuro have been able to do bottom. They haven't fallen behind, they've constantly kept the wave push, and so even though it exposes them to kill threat from iBoy and Mako, they are fine putting themselves on the line like that, because it means that their red side jungle doesn't collapse. Haro's not able to just eat that up, which means that aiming is able to absorb all of that CS and actually funnel properly.
Well, having a look at the top side, still things going wrong for Ray. It's a large minion wave that Keen has complete control of up here. Still looking for some more barrel chains, but I think the last time we saw this composition work very well for Afreeca was up against a Yasuo as well, if memory serves.
It's working really well right now.
Yes, certainly is working very well, and certainly working better than against the Lissandra that we saw last time around.
Oh, is it 10 minutes already?
We're getting there.
It certainly is.
Haro's chilling.
Time to gank bottom, boys.
Well, Tucson, he's got the Spirit's Refuge, but is it going to be enough to save him? Oh! Thanks very
Excellent
much,
flash.
Haru. Take the success flash
Tucson
on
played
his
that
way
beautifully.
out. Yeah, just stunning.
Really nice flash timing, expected the barrel, saw his health was high enough that they need to add some more burst damage front-loaded, and he gets away. Haru reaches level 7, but he's actually behind in experience compared to Spirit. Amy can disengage, and no harm, no foul for Afreeca Freecs.
And again, all of these absorption plays are so important. The fact that Keen was able to absorb the top lane pressure when Scout made the roam up there. The fact that Tucson has a gorgeous flash and is able to absorb the pressure from Edward Gaming bottom. This funnel comp, it's working exactly as intended, and the baton will surely be passed from EDG having control in the early game to Afreeca having control in the mid-late game.
And the unintended bonus is that the GP's doing so well that he's going to hit a 2-item power spike very early in the Sterix Gauge second, and then Jarvan might actually lose lane. That might be the awkward thing, is if you actually get the Sterix early enough, you actually can be all in and turn around and kill the Jarvan. So in terms of where this game is at, because that early gank meant not even a flash was blown, Keen is as competitive in CS as you could ask for.
Yeah, absolutely. And we've seen, Grasp GPs turn around these matchups a lot as Trouble Bubble lands on the bottom side. Paddlestar not going to be thrown in just yet, not going to get the damage amplification as Mako played that one pretty nicely to keep iBoy out of trouble.
Yep, credit to Mako. Target selecting Tucson, knowing that the flash CC taunt, just the taunt was going to come down.
Yep, nicely done. They are going to disengage, moving back under their turret as iBoy doing his best to navigate this lane, but he's even in farm, and as a Kai'Sa, if you get yourself a free lane like that, you're feeling pretty good about it, but this is not the funneled Kai'Sa, this is just going to be regular mode. We'll see whether aiming is going to be ahead of him, because that's where the comparison needs to lie. As Kai'Sa will have a decent amount of time being all the way around, but we've got a gank in the mid lane. Scout has to get out with the flash. Exhaust is going to be used as well, and now the turret is under fire. Mid lane outer would be a huge advantage for the Afreeca Freecs as the funnel comp.
And I just love the tempo control that Afreeca have right now, and the fact that they're forcing plays. Yeah, it wasn't as successful as it needed to be, but we call EDG the play set team in the LPL. If you give them time 2-3 minutes where they get to dictate, okay, this is the play, this is how we execute it, that's when they thrive. But if you force them to be reactive, they just don't have the synergy and the experience on a lot of their key members to keep up with top teams in the world.
And while a lot of people have been on the KT hype train as Kura hoping to stuff some backs in the bot lane, if you listen to the interview that was done with the coaches, the LCK representatives after the LMS series, the question that was asked by the media was, the Chinese teams are saying that Afreeca is your strongest team. Do you have any comments? So rather than the KT expectation, there is a lot of respect from the LPL camp towards Afreeca. They're the team that I would like to see play twice, because I really feel like more often than not, 9 out of 10 times, you see drafts like this that, yes, they could still lose the game, but you look at the draft, you nod and say, they started with a power pick, they saw the Yasuo Gragas, and instantly attacked it in a way that there wasn't really much left in the remaining champions that EDG could salvage.
It's actually one of my favorite storylines in the LCK, especially with the likes of Griffin right now and Afreeca. It's kind of the next chapter. You know, you have you guys' beautiful intro of all the old jerseys, but ultimately it's kind of the newer jerseys that are starting to step forward and lead the next wave of LCK talent.
That's why maybe in a few seasons' time, the shot of Viper walking in with 9 different players and 9 different teams looking on him might be the more ominous thing than right now crying about Mark Noon and all those other names.
But we certainly will anyway. Beautiful intro. Anyway,
Afreeca
Freecs trying to push down the outer turret in the mid lane, guys.
Head and gold, doing solid. We saw the early kill, but like we mentioned, it hasn't really led to too much. Ludens is the one item here for the Zoe. Wants to keep poking, standing with a standard build. What does it mean for Drakes, though? None actually looked at 15 minutes. The Infernal, a very obvious pain point, hasn't been able to be started because Kai'Sa doesn't really have lane control despite that early kill, and there's no jungler, true jungler on the side of Afreeca.
And it's all about the lane control, not just in the bottom lane, but also in the mid lane. Afreeca have done a wonderful job constantly keeping EDG locked down here to protect a very low tower. And even though Edward Gaming feel very confident in their item spikes right now to rotate to try to contest the Infernal, to force some of their early strength and use this cannonball composition, they can't. And Afreeca are just holding them down and then grabbing up all of the gold on the map.
Yeah, and Afreeca probably going to be pretty okay with keeping things split. As probably not going to want to team fight against the team that can hold you in the sky for about 15 years. Keen pushing down on this top side as we're having a look at the money. He's ahead in gold by about 1,000. Been hitting enough of these parlays, and good God, he's got some farm.
Getting turret shots in, not anything huge, but still a point to mention the vision control top side. 2 control wards there. Getting them so many controls. Afreeca basically have 100% uptime on 5 control wards after 10 minutes, and so far it means that even this Drake start is going to be risky from the side of EDG.
And that's the thing, it looks like nothing has really happened in this game so far, but it's just beautiful the mind games that Afreeca are playing with Edward Gaming. You can tell that EDG are starting to get desperate. They're just being locked into their lanes, they're being starved of a lot of their resources, and they're being denied where they're strong.
And the funnel champ got 600 gold. It's a pretty cool story for
and the funnel
how much
got
gold there's
turret.
going to be. Exactly. This has been pretty immaculate as a start, but ending with the funnel comp hasn't been as auto-win as it was in Korea. And you have to say, you make a mistake in a team fight, someone dies instantly, this EDG comp can still ravage you. So the guarantees are not there, even though the funnel is doing well.
Also, when you have someone like Mako on his signature pick like Alistar, EDG are still team fighting gods in the LPL, so that's kind of the big win condition for them, and the Infernal's going to help out tons there.
Oh yeah, they are going to get that one for free. It's Keen. He's looking to try and take down this turret. It might be 3 turrets before 17 minutes for the Afreeca Freecs, which is the wrong side of the scale if you're looking at the funnel composition. Keen's going to be able to lock that one down. Has himself some barrels in here as well as Ray. He might be in trouble. Everyone's moving up on the side of the Afreeca Freecs, and Ray, he's the one that has to get out. This ain't a counter pick. I feel like it looks like Keen picked the GP into it.
Keen is absolutely making Ray look very ordinary in this game. He's played the laning phase immaculately under quite a lot of pressure, both from the pick and also the Yasuo roaming early, and the threat of the Gragas takes down the turret, starts working towards next item, which will be the Sterix Gauge, stop him being all in. Just another day out for Keen. That's why we rate him so highly.
Yeah, incredible play, and also genius to pick up that keystone in the Grasp of the Undying as well. He was one of our first GPs to do so in the LCK when we saw it as a bit of a pickup into the Gnar matchup, which turned around so many different times. Going to be useful here against the Jarvan as well, as Shelly's taking a bit of a beating from Afreeca, but EDG, with Mako leading the charge, is something that has to be respected.
This is what I'm talking about, the desperation. Edward Gaming, they're now, what, 2K, close to 3K gold behind a funnel composition that has great scaling potential. You can tell they're hunting, they're trying to poke their head in, they're trying to figure out how they take a foot back into this game through forcing a fight.
And the funnel comp was so happy to start the Rift Herald there because their fallback was an entire 3 camps available on the blue side. So they were like, well, if we get the Rift Herald, that's great. If not, we move back. There's no real cost to the play. So just very comfortable stuff from Afreeca.
Well, Super Soaker is going to decorate EDG members with some cold ice. Haro is going to be able to lock down the blue buff for himself, but means that it's not going to go to anybody else. I guess iBoy was the one that kind of wants it on the side of EDG. Haro is probably going to be picking up most of them. Now pushing down the bottom side. That outer turret still remains, but there's so much pressure here. And unlocking the map as a funnel comp, having all those more camps for aiming and Spirit to roam around to, it's real dangerous stuff as Portal Jump gets Kuro to see.
It's also the fact that they still have Shin and Zoe, so yes, you unlock the funnel comp to have more access to more gold, more camps, but you also unlock the fact that you have a hard engage from Rakan, you have the Stand United so you can play cross-map so easily, and then Zoe is the ultimate win more type of champion because of her ability to cover up choke points and just obliterate you underneath your towers. Edward Gaming have frankly really run out of time, and now they're unfortunately at this point where, okay, Afreeca have their items, we kind of have ours, but we don't feel confident, and now they just need to survive for another 10 minutes, but that type of damage is going to make it very difficult.
Mako holding the ultimate is actually real scary here. Throws it back in as Kuro immediately flashes. That's not going to be a spell thief as Cannon Barrage comes in. Mako, the ultimate's going to wear out as Kuro really wants to find it. Ignite is going to be able to pick. No, it's not! As the perfect timing's there from Mako Keen. Just shoots him in the face though as he teleports his way forward. Tucson picks up the kill on the Gragas on the back end, is aiming so much money, so much gold, and so much damage as Scout gets torn apart on the back end. Has to flash to get out, and it's a beautiful team fight from the Afreeca Freecs in the end.
Kuro ends up initiating with his face, but they're so far ahead, it doesn't matter. Will aiming push any damage? He won't. He'll just take the red buff. He's fine with that. Oh, almost accidentally kills Yasuo.
Who, just calm as you like, is just going to back his way out. That was cute.
So many items on aiming that when he walks in after the ult, after everything is used on the Zoe, he already had Phantom Dancer. He doesn't give any mundos about the Kai'Sa. Run straight at her, and it was always going to be a one-team fight by Afreeca Freecs.
And if we go back to this idea of if you're in the practice room, if you're looking at the VOD of this game, Edward Gaming, you circle this moment, you say, that's the kill shot. This is where we lost everything. Now, there is still opportunities because they do have a wombo combo type of composition, but from this point forward, Afreeca should be looking like they're sprinting towards the finish line. The fact that they won this team fight so handedly off the back of an incredible performance from Kuro, just 1v1 mechanically, was beautiful.
Really greedy stuff, but he really sensed blood. They knew aiming was coming in. And then level 14, Xayah amusingly walks next to someone being Cataclysm and says, I've got a lot of items and now I can walk around. And that's where things were very bad for the side of EDG.
And Keen was just a monster. The Cannon Barrage, 3 people stood in it the entire duration, and then comes down and lands barrel after barrel, shoots people in the back of the head, and that it was all over. I think this top lane really has had so much to do with how the outcome of this game has gone, and it should have been the other way around based on counterpick potential from EDG.
And now he's like immensely far ahead.
He's the most far ahead.
He's 2 items against someone who's going for the random sandwich.
Oh no, he's got 3 items. Kindle Gem, my favorite completed item.
It essentially means that that 10-minute window that Edward Gaming needed to survive in now has extended to 15, closer to 20 minutes. They are just white-knuckling, holding on to the cliff, and here comes Scar, just ready to launch Mufasa off.
And here comes Dalian picking up on the same analysis, and there's a tinge of just real desperation in their voices. They understand that it needs to be a few team fight victories in a row. You're not far enough ahead or even compared to the previous teams that have won at 22 minutes and closed the game. That will not happen in this game, even if they get a wipe.
Which means now all attention has to come to the Vision game. You see EDG immediately stack up, trying to do their best SKT at Worlds impression. Maybe they find a pick, but they need to at least clear out their jungle, lay down their defensive vision, and then just start playing red zone defense around the Baron.
But what do you do about this Pirate?
Cry.
Who's just doing whatever the heck he wants, right? Even gonna take damage from those barrels. It's just such a problem for EDG, and all of the vision that you were talking about throughout this entire game still there for the Afreeca Freecs. Aiming, picking up minion wave after minion wave.
And a nice
322 CS at 22 minutes. He's Flame Horizon the clock at 22, which is despicable. And Infinity Edge was picked up.
I know, that's the nice item, Atlas.
Yeah, I can see that.
Maybe this time we need to use all our ultimates on that guy.
Yeah, and then he's going to press Featherstorm, and then everyone's going to be
Oh,
really
he might play
sad.
Stopwatch instead.
But then you're still
that
dealing
might
with
be
your
after.
Sterix Trinity gangplank. And the thing is that Afreeca have so many ways to play out the map. They don't have to funnel into the 5v5. They don't have to get Edward Gaming the Miracle Wombo combo team fight. They can continue to punch Ray repeatedly in the face with this gangplank.
I'm really not sure who you ult as the Jarvan because the GP kills you, the Xayah lifts off, and the Zhonya's on.
Yeah, it's the who's trapped in
pray
here with who type question.
That they're all holding hands.
Yeah.
And you just get the Red Rover
damage
It's a
situation.
prayer circle? Like, what is happening?
I mean, the press circle might be the next point.
Yeah, I
for
think
EDG.
press circle is what EDG are sort of needing at this point in time. As far as what a funnel comp wants, a 6,000 gold lead is not something we like to talk about. We like to talk about, can they come back from a 6,000 gold deficit? And the answer in the LCK a lot of the time was yes.
It's a bit
The
of
answer
a
in the LPL has been no.
it's a
Yeah,
bit
I've
of
seen
an
some of your
emergency
funnel comps though. There's some weird ones.
purchase on the Yasuo here. Already GA first, looking for an extended fight, not the burst.
This is your moment, Mako.
Yeah, it doesn't have the Infinity Edge either, which is so important for
Yep.
the Yasuo as well for that 120% crit. It's Afreeca Freecs.
Minion wave in the top side is starting to push. EDG, it's all about the next execution. Even one ability on cooldown could be a problem. It's going in.
Yep, there's the dive forward. The quickness just going to charm everybody up. And look at the health bars. The red ones are just disappearing. Kuro goes down to his stopwatch, but Highboy in the back lane is getting the work done. Aiming instead. Somehow they find the fight, and EDG straight over to the Baron. How did we underestimate this team? It shouldn't have happened like this.
And Edward Gaming are the machine. It doesn't matter if it's Clearlove. It doesn't matter if it's Haro. They will do the same thing every single time. Team fighting gods. It may be an international event, but they're still in China, and the crowd is still behind them.
Afreeca tunnel on what they want to kill, and they allow Highboy access into the back line. All those plasmids stack up. Everyone dies. Afreeca Freecs would love to have that time again.
Yeah, aiming just did not get anything done in that fight. You looked at the beginning of it, the cannon barrage, so beautiful. The barrels were beautiful, but they weren't getting the kills. They were just softening them up, and EDG found the CC. Let's get into this one again.
So watch the fight, and of course you're trained upon how much killing will they do. They have all their items. They knock up the Gragas. They don't kill anyone. Watch Highboy on the back end. He's able to reposition into the back line after a huge cataclysm. It was the press circle. They all funneled up, and that allowed the Kai'Sa free attacks. She takes no damage the entire fight, and that's what happens when AP Kai'Sa gets a freebie.
And now suddenly Edward Gaming are back on even footing, but certainly not ahead in this game. They still need to win multiple team fights, and you have to know that Afreeca aren't going to make that same mistake again. They immediately looked at each other and said, okay, maybe we probably shouldn't all stand together for Jarvan to just put us in a hoop.
Yeah, but it's now 2,000 gold, the difference between these two teams. You've got Sterix Cage almost completed by a Scout. You've got the 2-item spike that you're looking for as the Kai'Sa. The crowd erupting in favor of EDG. We thought this might have been all she wrote by the early game, but we certainly have a game on our hands as now this gold lead is going to evaporate for the Afreeca Freecs as the towers start to crumble.
And repeatedly this idea, the weight of the crown, LPL, the defending champions here, it's Edward Gaming where it feels like everything is on the line for them, because then it's just their 4th place team, Rogue Warriors, between them and defeat. So all of the pressure is on EDG to shine. All of the weight is on Mako to step forward and say, I don't need Clearlove. I can lead this charge. I can lead this team.
And we don't truly see the impact of the momentum switch of the last fight in item purchases yet, but we're cresting upon huge item completions with the next purchases from EDG that may never have happened if the team fight was able to stick by Afreeca. So what it means for the next fight is it's going to have to be perfect execution from Afreeca rather than just see hero kill hero like it might have been if they had won the previous fight.
Well, that's what they thought the previous fight was, and they were hella punished for it. Is going to be able to take down the Rift Scuttler. The Baron certainly not there, as it's still got a minute of duration. Only one outer turret was picked up, though, as EDG have been very respectful of where they're moving around this map. QSS, very importantly, just picked up by aiming. You've got the Storm Razor there for Keen as well. 3 items on the gangplank is huge, and he's going to turn up here towards the bottom side to try and deter Ray. And he certainly does. Look at those crits with the Storm Razor.
And again, for Edward Gaming, it's so much, as Papa's talking about, just evening up the score. They want to grab the free towers if they can, but more importantly, it should be about clearing out the vision, neutralizing that vision line, maybe poking some of your offensive vision forward, and making sure that you're staying together, that you're covering your flanks, because the composition only thrives when it's together.
When it comes to the next team fight, what I want to see from Afreeca, those flashes on Tucson and Spirit have to find their way to iBoy. He has cleanse. He is going to be slippery, as a Zonia's as well. But if you get him to pop Zonia's early, then you can just see hero, kill hero, and be more general about who your damage profile is focused on. If he gets to free hit, if he gets to the back line, he can light up Afreeca in half a second.
And the thing is so much of the conversation is dominated about Uzi and the prodigy of Jackie Love, but it was iBoy who came in with only 19 games underneath his belt, faced down Uzi and lifted the LPL trophy on his first run at that type of championship. Goes to Worlds, puts up a good performance despite the failures of EDG, and continues to be a dominant threat and almost the unsung superstar of the LPL when you have all of these other names around him.
Well, we're now looking at iBoy to try and carry this one through for EDG. Scout's got his GA, he's got his Sterix. Now considering the Infinity Edge, it's the first time that I've seen an Infinity Edge come in at item number 4, but wanting to make sure that he has the safety.
Right.
And Teleport is going to get towards the top side as Afreeca Freecs want to get rid of him, but no way for the Gangplank to interrupt, and Ray gets out.
Nice collapse attempt by Afreeca, but Ray understands GP has no interrupts, go for that play. They know now that multiple people are going to be running through the river. That river does herald an Infernal Drake. Maybe this will be the next fight. BG win this one, Baron would certainly have turned into quite a lot of momentum.
I think Afreeca are just going to burn it way too quickly.
They do.
Yeah, it is going to be taken down, but now is the fight going to be there for EDG. We know that they like to sculpt them, and they're not going to find their opportunity to engage. They back away. So we're even now on Infernal Drakes, a cheeky extra cloud.
We're even in everything,
Afreeca.
Atlas. That means it's all about the execution.
Oh, baby.
These are my favorite games.
Well, we've had a couple of good ones already.
Now 2 minutes until that next Baron, and that might be where that next execution needs to be tested for both of these teams. And I have a feeling aiming a lot to prove in the next fight.
Of course, we do have to talk about the big elephant in the room, which is Ray not having access to the TP. You're against a Gangplank, he has his TP, he has a cross-map ultimate, and he also has great kill pressure on Jarvan right now if he doesn't get any sort of assistance. Baron coming up in 1 minute 30. Again, Afreeca have so many different ways that they can play this map. They don't need to prayer circle themselves and just get dunked on.
Well, we're very close to a GA as well from Keen. Picks up the BF sword, has his stopwatch, which hasn't been broken as of yet. A lot of the members of Afreeca Freecs, remember, quite squishy. Spirit, not a lot of health to his name. Tucson as well. It's a pretty anemic Shen. Afreeca Freecs need to take care of their carries in this next fight. Aiming needs to survive. Need to find a way to kill iBoy with that CC that these two supports are going to offer.
Wave management's very important here. You saw that 2 members had to split off from Edward Gaming, which means that Afreeca should take this tower for free and then immediately recognize, okay, the flank potential is here. We now need to disengage back into Fog of War and start setting up our vision in the river.
Yep, they are going to do so. Grab themselves those waves as well as EDG, like you say, move top and bottom, get those ones pushing, and you can see Keen, he's going to move towards the bottom side, finish off that minion wave, possibly get his GA, and then 10 to the top side, but EDG now able to push back in the mid lane and get some control around this Baron. 30 seconds until the big purple worm is available again.
But Keen is reading this play 2 minutes in advance. He's already got it pushing. Someone will have to respond, and Afreeca can just stall.
Afreeca do have limited control wards, 2 each for the 2 supports here, so they don't have 5, or the ability to put down 5 with things like the stopwatches littering. Do see GP pick up 1 himself to
And
do
the GA.
a bit of helping, and yes, the Guardian Angel is complete. 4 items on both carries. All about execution, aiming very much a rookie as a lot of the other people here.
Look at Ray.
Yeah, he was positioned for that one. It almost looked like Haro picked up the trouble bubble on purpose.
I'm going to assume that that is some sort of monument.
I'm pretty confused, but Ray's going to use his stopwatch to nice the
pose.
knock-up as now Tucson gets the flash from him afterwards. We were all very confused, but the Jarvan almost died, guys.
It was a cool pose, though.
Yeah,
that
it
was a
was.
7 out of 10 at least.
Yeah, I liked it.
Oh, I think everyone's hearts in their mouths, whether you're an LCK fan, LPL fan, the Dalian crowd, a nervous laughter has broken out a couple of times because it
don't
didn't
know which
seem
way
like
this
it
is
was going
going.
to come to one team fight. It seemed like Afreeca had so much in the bank they were basically the banker in Monopoly. They were ready to go. They have very little in the bank. They make a mistake here, one bad investment, this game goes to EDG.
Well, the Baron is going to be stopped. Voidseeker doesn't find the target here from iBoy as Spirit considering a flank. They have so much vision control. They've got vision domination of this Baron area.
But listen to the crowd. You don't hear a word. Here we
Well,
go.
Kuro's going to dive forward. Trouble bubble, not going to register. Afreeca Freecs just testing the waters.
Haru, I'm trying to look at that screen. I believe it's Runic Echo Zeke, so he's very, very weak.
Yeah, very squishy.
In terms of actually being able to impact, yeah, he has less than 2,000 health, so clearly super, super squishy Batman. I know it's weird. He's been on the diet. You haven't seen the changes yet. Might need a bit of surgery to deal with some of those
Have you been
faults.
talking to Gragas, Pop Smithy?
I tried to.
Yeah, I think that he's
a good
certainly
guy to
taken,
drink with.
Yeah, he's certainly taken some leaves out of your book, though. He's lost a whole bunch of weight this game,
That
especially
means
by 33 minutes.
He throws a cask, he hopes Yasuo profits from it, and then he's just a buff bot. Will he be in range for a smite, as this is a
Will
ass
anyone
load
even?
of damage?
Yeah, exactly. Will anyone even be able to make
No.
it here as they have no vision?
It's going blind.
It's just going to get taken down. The barrel's too late, but they had no vision, no idea, and that's a free one for Afreeca.
And we were talking about how the vision game was going to be so important at this point because it was about how you can protect that Baron, how you could set up that team fight. Edward Gaming, blink, they lose the Baron, and now power back in Afreeca. They're in the driver's seat.
So much damage on the side of Afreeca and the front line. Someone like Haru being so squishy means you second guess the face checks a lot more. You try to wait for friends that with a different build you might be a bit more risque about. They give up the Baron. That means that their siege goes from being kind of okay to pretty over the top. Zai not the best sieging AD carry, but they have the Zoe. They have ways to poke. They'll want to break the base and take an inhibitor with this Baron.
So the most important thing for EDG at this point, again, move back into your jungle, set up defensive control wards, and try to create avenues for flanking positions. You want to make sure that you can get Ray, and most importantly, Mako to the side of Afreeca when they step forward to siege these towers, to use these Zoes, and then try to go for your big wombo combo and kill all of the Barons at once.
Well, now we've got all of the CC from Afreeca just hanging out around this inner turret. Looks like that's the avenue for Afreeca Freecs to attack with this Baron buff. Keen bringing up the wave in the mid lane just to make sure they can have extra pressure. Top wave pushing back, but it's going to be a while before it does anything, and that tower evaporates. Afreeca Freecs, so much damage. We know EDG, they can team fight, but can they make the right moves to save their base?
Playing multiple lanes is right from Afreeca. Very limited wave clear from EDG. It's really only iBoy popping in with a Q every now and again. So they're happy to play just 2 lanes. Pushing up here, EDG looking for the God Barrel to start the chain.
Well, Keen's going to set it up here as we're starting to take damage. This Siege minion, of course, Wind Wall can stop a bit of that damage, but do really need to turn their attention to these minions that are taking down the base. In goes Mako. This could be the engagement. Featherstorm stops it. Blade Caller for the snares is now iBoy wants to get the work done, has to use the stopwatch, but he's dead, everyone. This is the fight over as Afreeca Freecs turn it on its head. EDG do it once, but damn straight they can't do it again.
You can't get aiming down the second time. He's aware of it. Haru will be able to walk out, and Spirit will just interrupt any back timings, and Afreeca will look to close the game now.
And the best case scenario is that Haru can just stall time, but like you said,
so long.
They've got the minion wave, they have all of their carries. This
It's
should
over.
be Afreeca taking the game, and which means it's King Zone versus Rogue Warriors to determine if we go to game 5.
Rogue Warriors have to do their best attempt like MVP did last time around for the LCK. I feel like the shoe is on the other foot, but anything can happen when it's King Zone Dragon X. But this game, all about the Afreeca Freecs. We got that one team fight. EDG made it look like there was a chance, but the macro play, the funnel strategies, and Afreeca Freecs come out victorious.
Such a bittersweet moment. You see the miracle, the fact that they get that type of play, but in the back of your head, it's Edward Gaming, international event. It doesn't matter who it is. They can team fight, but ultimately they will fall down.
Still, my respect for EDG only goes up after this game. They were outdrafted. The Zaya Rakan really shut down their hopes for the Yasuo Gragas. The early game went just the best possible for Afreeca Freecs, and yet, when you are as good at team fighting as EDG has, there was still a way back into this game. I think in that scenario, pre the team fight that EDG won, 9 out of 10 teams just lose the game in an uninteractive fashion. They were the 1 in 10. They made it a game, and with that second fight had also been a miracle, they could have still won.
But now I pose this question to actually both of you LCK experts.
We're listening.
You look at that type of performance from Afreeca, you look at the performance from KT. If the miracle does happen and Rogue Warriors are able to take down Kingzone and we go to game 5, is it Afreeca or is it KT Rolster that represent the LCK?
KT. For me, because I want Mata against RNG, I'd say KT.
I think you need firepower in the bot lane. I think you need a chance to go standard. I don't think Afreeca goes standard against RNG. So because Afreeca actually had the misstep here, if they had closed this one out uninteractively, I would have said Afreeca. Because of their misstep, throw me on the hype train. Let's all get excited. I'd send KT Rolster.
Oh, hell yeah. We're aligned on the KT Rolster hype train there, but we may not get to see them as Kingzone are going to be up next against Rogue Warriors, but damn, look at that GP damage. Keen honestly turned this whole game on its head by dominating the Jarvan matchup.
Who's the best top laner in Korea? Who's the best top player in the world? We still feel that we don't have that last
so
little
hard to
nugget,
know.
but you just want to pin the tail on the donkey and give it to Keen.
Again, the new wave of LCK talent, Afreeca finally stepping up, making the finals last split, now possibly looking for more, especially on the back of this type of performance. They're one of my favorite teams to watch right now.
I'm going to take some credit. They asked me at the start of the season what the final would be.
You.
I said Afreeca KT. I think Afreeca and KT are the best 2 teams in Korea.
They're definitely the best 2 teams at this tournament for the LCK. Their performances have been brilliant, but to break down that brilliant performance, let's send it back to the guys on the analyst desk.
Thank you so much, everyone, and whew, gotta catch my breath after that one. We weren't running, we weren't sprinting, but it really just felt like, as Papa said, your heart was in your throat the entire time through that game.
Yeah, that game was intense. I know a lot of people look towards the Afreeca Freecs composition and said that they had the late game handily, but remember the front line, EDG had it, and the all-in as well. You look at a perfect composition, you're like, okay, perfectly like Afreeca Freecs should be able to disengage a lot of the engage points, and the Xayah should be able to do well. But it's not about perfection.
Yeah.
Exhilaration means something, adrenaline means something, and mistakes did happen on the side of Afreeca Freecs.
Yeah, for me, I actually believe that EDG did expect the Xayah and Rakan. It's 8.13. You do expect those 2 picks to come out, and their answer was that they were going to get Scout into the side lanes and find consistent kills. And if that happened, I think they would have kept the game plank down, and they would have had a split pusher in the late game in terms of the Yasuo to really spread the map out and have their way with the Kai'Sa engages and the catches right there. But nothing went to script for them.
Yeah, because they were just caught off guard in the pick ban draft. Like, the moment Zoe comes out, they're almost certain that Kuro is going to be picking it up. Yeah. So they pick up a Yasuo, and Yasuo, look, he's great later on in the game, but there's a reason why he had less damage than the Alistar here, 3.5k. It's because he had to constantly deal with the waves piling up underneath his turret. He was constantly responding to plays, never really being able to get it. So even in the team fights, it was never under his control. He was waiting for a knock-up to come out. But of course, Xayah would always have the ulti enabled. And so it's like, it's just rough for the Yasuo. It's rough for Scout because he would get exhausted in these team fights and it wouldn't go his way.
And even off of the back of that, the build order that he had to go just to survive the snowballed Xayah, waiting 4th item Infinity Edge on that Yasuo, denying a lot of that damage. Still, though, we do have to commend Afreeca for playing the funnel successfully against EDG, despite seeing all of that counterplay. We do have to talk about what happens when that funnel is actually able to come online. And to do that, we'll show you that fight that we had at the Dragon Pit, in which we could see that Xayah damage firsthand.
Yep, the start of it looked good for EDG here. Everyone thought they had the catch onto Kuro, but we really have to wait until the moment, until the Fed Xayah comes in. She's over leveled. She has an item advantage over everyone in this fight, and the really telling moment does come down to the fight between iBoy and the Xayah that's about to happen on your screen right here. That's a normal AD carry versus a funneled AD carry, and that was basically a 3-shot.
And you have 2 frontliners here. I'm referring towards the Alistar and the Gragas. Gragas was prioritized by the Shen, while the Alistar already had lost the HP with how the beginning fight started. So you shouldn't have the Kai'Sa alone in that, but unfortunately that was the case. It was just EDG not having the proper preparation for the fight when it happened.
And it could have snowballed differently. And I think the first fight where Scout went to the top lane, he should have got that kill onto the game plank from Keen. Bad execution from Ray. Happened again in the bot lane. So EDG, I think they did participate in the gold funneling, but they missed executed so many times and missed windows of opportunities where they could actually get side lane control.
And that's what makes that game so tragic, is because when you do see the execution at 100%, when all 5 members come together in that massive fight in the mid lane, it looks like they're able to pull a miracle team fight out of nothing.
Yeah, it was perfect from EDG as a response, but once I mentioned a mistake needed to happen, take a look at aiming here, because he walks way too close towards Mako, the knockup does come through, and immediately he gets obliterated. So that was the first mistake, but it was a beautiful play from EDG as a whole. Scout run rampant alongside iBoy to make it worthwhile.
Big success.
Yeah, and I think Afreeca learned from their mistakes after that fight. After that, they never fought them in open ground. It was too easy for iBoy to find a way into the backline and just pick off everyone one by one. You saw in the final team fights, it was in this funneled section right here where there's one direction. They had to walk through the cannon barrage and also the barrels. iBoy found a bit of sunlight, but the battle dance from the Rakan, the extra range, really catching him off there.
And truthfully, I mean, the moment the headbutt pulverize wasn't responded to, no one was in range, so Xayah got out of there very easily. There's no way you can find the Xayah. Xayah is going to be able to fire off, and that was just a really impossible fight for EDG from that point forward.
Yeah, and for those of you who are wondering why iBoy stood still on the back of that fight, when you have the killer instinct on Kai'Sa, you do not go untargetable. So in the dash, he passed through the Rakan, getting hit by that battle dance, as you mentioned, and then was immediately charmed in front of a level 18 funneled Xayah.
It hurts.
So no cleanse, no charm. He thought he had it, but I guess that's what the game came down to.
And
Mechanics.
the Korean coaches are very happy right now. They predicted before this match that they said they were going to take it 3-1. It's really down to Rogue Warriors, my burner team, to save the day. And it's going to be a tall task.
Look, and I made a point of this on Weibo. I don't think that Rogue Warriors is nearly as bad as people make them out to be, because remember, coming into this one, they are a top 2 team in the Western Conference, and coming into this one, they beat Mad very handily in the early game. They had a proper early game versus the best Korean team of KT as well. Putting all of those asterisks there, sure, Rogue Warriors are the worst of the LPL teams, but can they be a KZ that has been really having problems? I think that's the case, so you can't count them out yet.
I saw you rolling your eyes there, Clement.
Yeah, why are you rolling, dog? What's happening?
You just mentioned Mad, and I just want to say, like, let's focus back on the key. And that's, it's a happy thought in the top lane. That level 6 evade from Ray was really crucial, because that was a kill lane that was set up to demolish him. He did have the blind pick into the gangplank, and Scout was gunning for his head, but avoiding that kill threat meant that he was able to actually do the split pushing.
Dominated the lane after that point. 100% kill participation for a reason, because when the skirmishes happened on the bottom side of the map, TPs went through. He had full access to the back line. Really well played from King.
Big success now to the LCK squads. That being said, we already know our final